Hey, this is another edition of the Official Visit podcast. I'm the Oregonian's Andrew Greif, along here with Tyson Alger, co-beat writer. We have a player guest today, first time in a while, and it's Charles Nelson, the junior. It's hard to believe it's your junior year. I feel like you've been here a long time. I mean, since you started playing right from the first game as a true freshman, I feel like you're an old soul among a bunch of young guys. How do you feel being on a team this young?
Definitely feel like one of the older guys, When I first got here, there was those guys, and then now I feel like I'm one of those guys, and it's weird.
What's the dynamic like between, when did you realize you were now, the old dude in the locker room? At the ripe old age of, 21?
No. Probably, in the summer this year. That's when I really realized that I was one of the old guys, just winding down to the last, couple of years and get up out of here.
Any of the new kids coming in, do you feel older than them? Is there anything that they think's cool that you're that I'm the old man here on campus now?
I wouldn't say all that. I mean, I just see them, and then they just tell me their age, and I was like, wow, I feel really old. And I see how older people feel.
Yeah, that doesn't stop.
That will continue for a while. What is the dynamic like with all these young guys playing offense, defense? I mean, it's unusual how many young guys are playing this year, and obviously it's out of necessity. But the coaches like to say that you don't slow down practices just because guys are young. But do you guys have to teach a little more? Even a guy like yourself who's not a coach, do you find yourself taking guys aside more so than you were as a sophomore, and being like, hey, this is what you need to read here?
When I was a sophomore, there weren't that many other older guys around here anyway, so it was kind of the same thing I'm doing now. I'm teaching the young guys for, when I leave, what they need to know so they could teach the guys after them, but it's just a never-ending process.
Yeah.
Transitioning from that, talking about when you do eventually leave, where do you project? I mean, is the NFL in your dreams, or what do you want to be doing once you're done with Oregon?
I'm pretty sure everybody's here to try to make it to the next level. So, if that happens, it happens. If not, explore other options. That's why I'm here, trying to go to school, get a degree, and do something with that.
So that's what we kind of figured you'd say. But how do you fit in the NFL?
How do I fit in the NFL? That's a good question. Honestly, a slot guy. Special teams. That's what I think.
If someone said, would you consider playing defense at that level, would you think about it, given your experience here? I know you weren't thrilled about playing defense last year, but would you, if it meant staying on a roster, would you say, okay, I'll give it a try?
Definitely. it's another option to explore, and it's there, it's open, so we'll see.
Have you been able to do anything at receiver this year now that you're not having to juggle with playing defense on top of that?
Just basically know the offense front and back, every position outside the slot, and just move around with that. So
when you made that change last year, was it Washington State? Was it at the first game you started at safety?
That was the first game, yeah. How
much, and you had been obviously practicing a little bit during the spring, and there had been talk about you playing two-way, but how much did you really know, now that you can look back a year later, how much of the defense did you truly feel comfortable with when they stick you out there? Were you okay?
Or was it just go out and try to smoke somebody?
No, it was different. In the spring, I had been
corner, right?
Playing corner, so it was different than playing safety, and had to learn a whole another position. So when I first got out there, all I knew was whatever I knew from practice that week, and let's just go out there and let's get it done. And it worked out. As the weeks went on, I started learning more and more, and then it just became easier. But
is it true that they say that having experience as being a receiver helps playing DB because you might know tendencies, or is that just bull? Does it really help at all to know what a receiver might be thinking? Does it really come into play when you're out there as a safety?
It helps a little bit, but when you're out there on defense, you're focusing on what you have to do and not what you think you'd be doing on offense, But if you were able to, think fast and, try to put that into it, then it'll be a little easier. But yeah, it helps a little bit.
So were there just intense cram sessions, like studying that week when you go in to watch the, and each week after that where you're like learning on the fly? Were you at the football office longer than your teammates because you just had to figure out what you were going to be doing each week? You were so new to the position?
Not necessarily, no. Coach Neal did a great job of teaching me, while everybody else was in the room. And the only extra stuff I did was when I had to go and learn the offensive stuff for that week. I had to stay back my own time and learn that. But other than that, no.
So what was your day like last year in the last half of the season versus like a practice day versus now? Like how much more focused can you really be when it's just offense?
Last year,
were you bouncing back and forth in the middle of a practice from one side to the other, or was like a Monday an offense day and like a Tuesday a defense day?
No, it was all defense.
Okay.
And then for like a play or two, I'd go over there to offense, or that was about it. Other than that, it was just me having meeting times with Coach Lubick and trying to go over the offense and watching film.
Sure.
So, at that point, Vernon was a first-year quarterback for you guys last year. You're not playing offense in practice. How were you able to develop any sort of chemistry with your quarterback there?
Most of that was built in
just
fall
kind of
camp.
Talent.
Most of that was built in fall camp and, the weeks I was playing offense. So he had a feel for what, how I run routes and everything like that.
I saw a couple weeks ago Vernon tweeted out something saying, "Name me my top 7 receivers." Are you in that list?
I don't know. He didn't put out a list.
This is going to be a dating us reference, but that's like MySpace, your top 8 with your friends. It's like you want to be in that top 8, but you don't want to be.
We were already talking about feeling old, Andrew.
I know. No, I'm embracing the conversation of feeling old.
Oh, that's funny.
That guy is obviously at a different level of his career than Justin Herbert was and Dakota was when they stepped in to play quarterback this year. Can you just take us through like what makes Justin? Is people say he's alternately goofier than people think, but also more serious than people think. They say he's more athletic than people think, and also he runs the gamut of reviews. People say all kinds of things. So what is the actual truth about Justin Herbert, and what makes him tick?
Justin's more of a quiet guy when it's like practice time, trying to get down to business. He's more quiet, focused, trying to be the best he can, learn from his mistakes and everything like that. Off the field, he's kind of joking around all the time, just goofy. He looks goofy at times.
Is he the youngest looking quarterback in the Pac-12?
Yes.
He looks like he could still be like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
I always like that his sweatshirt he wears to post-game press conferences looks like a store-bought team sweat. Like he bought it at the Duck store when he was at Sheldon and is still wearing. I just it looks like nothing like the one Charles is wearing right now, which you can't see at home obviously, but it's the Webfoots one. It's like it looks like something he's had for a couple years. I always find that hilarious that he just goes back to that. Maybe I shouldn't, but
I've never seen him wear it.
Is there a learning curve for him? Because people say he just picked it up so quickly, but obviously you know the offense much more in depth than he does. Just given your experience, what has he still not done and yet is very good? What could he still learn? I should say.
Just being aware of every situation, basically. Knowing, when to get down on the ground, when to try to run somebody over, get the first down. Just that type of stuff. Just be situational aware. Just his situational awareness. But that comes with more experience.
Sure.
So as the games go on, years go on, I feel like he'll do a good job of that. And just basically just going through each of his keys. Sometimes there's looks that he gets in practice that he doesn't get, or that he gets a different look in the game, and just not knowing exactly
he doesn't
what
have
to
that
do.
base of knowledge to compare it.
But it comes with more experience. So,
what's it like? Because you were in that position too, just being the freshman that goes from no one really knows about to all of a sudden everyone's just heaping tons and tons of praise on. Like you kind of go from a nobody to, Justin Herbert overnight. What was that like for you your freshman year?
It was cool just knowing that people were starting to recognize you and just knowing that you could do good things. And you can play, but then it's sometimes overwhelming because you got all these people, messaging you on Twitter or something like that, which I don't think he has it, but I don't think he has Twitter or Instagram anymore.
You got rid of him?
I think he did.
He's probably a smart guy.
But that was about it, really. But other than that, it was okay.
What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you because of your fame?
People asking to take pictures with me, but like mostly they're like high school girls or something like that, and she asked to kiss me on my cheek. I told her no. That was probably the weirdest thing I got.
So, from your experience, what do you think is the harder transition to make? Being a true freshman who's contributing, but 3,000 miles away from home, like you were, and just the natural homesickness that you encountered, or what Justin's going through, being there's a lot of hype because he is that hometown kid. It's two different types of pressure, but I just wonder, like, what do you think is maybe a little harder to go through, knowing that you're removed from the people you know the best and most, or doing this where everyone knows you in a lot of ways, being the local hero?
I think his is more challenging just because, he has all the people he went to high school with, they're still here. So, like, if he messes up, they have his number. They can contact him or just, they'll see him because he lives here. They probably know where he lives. Me, it was not the same. Not many people know what I'm really doing because it's a whole different time zone. So it's off. But his is more challenging.
Those 7:30 kicks, what that's 10:30 in Daytona.
Yeah. That Washington game, he goes in, he throws the pick, the first play. I think you were the target on that one. That was a hard game, I feel like, for you. It seemed like early in the season, I don't know, was it confidence or was it kind of like the yips like you get in baseball where maybe you're just trying too hard? That's what Helfrich said. And it seems like that's totally righted. You've reversed that the last few games. So you're now back to being just like the incredibly dependable return guy. Can you take us through the first half of the season? Did you feel like you were pressing? And what does pressing mean to you, if so?
I feel like I was trying, a lot harder than I should have been. I felt like I should just go out and play football like I usually did. I was trying to be, the guy that, tries to make a lot of plays so that, the offense can get going and just stuff like that. But, later on, as the season went on, I just felt like, it's just another game of football. Let's just go out there and have fun, really. And things started changing.
And what's the difference? Is it how you're thinking on the field? You find yourself thinking and maybe trying to get the extra yard and getting hit and having the ball come? I mean, what does that look like to feel like you're just playing football versus you're trying to do too much?
Just letting things happen itself, really. I was trying to make too many plays, possibly, in the beginning of the season. Just trying to think ahead, before I caught the ball or something like that. Now it's just catch the ball, and then whatever happens then to whatever happens after that.
Yeah.
How long does it feel like the ball's in the air when you're on kick return or on a punt return? Like, and what's going through your head while it's up there?
Depends on the punter. But yeah, it definitely feels like it's out there for a long time. And our coach Rad, he just basically emphasized just not looking at anybody running downfield at you. You got basically almost 21 guys running down at you, whether they're on your team or not. But you just, in your peripheral, just see bodies coming, and it's intimidating. But, once you get used to it, it becomes easier, I believe. And just trusting the guys to block for you, really, that's the key.
Do you remember the first time you ever did that, even in early in your football career, like high school, on a punt return?
Yeah, I used to let the ball hit the ground, then I picked it up. I was faster than those guys, a lot of the guys, so it was easier.
What's the hardest you've gotten hit so far in your career in college?
The hardest I've gotten hit?
Yeah.
Like on any play?
On any play. And has anybody hit you as hard as you've hit somebody?
I don't think anybody's hit me as hard as I've hit some other people before. But I got hit last week pretty hard on a kickoff return, number 94, whoever number 94 is. He's like 6'5", like 2 something. So he hit me pretty hard, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't get up from. So we're good.
Still the hardest hit I've seen any Ducks player take over the last couple of years was the Michigan State game when was it EFO had the interception and Dargan missed the Dargan got killed by that offensive line.
Yeah.
Dior missed the ball.
Yeah, that was it.
I was gonna say it's probably goes into your head. Maybe it's in your head when you were back doing punt returns earlier this season, knowing that you are that gunner who's going to take someone's head off. Like, is that has to factor into your thinking when you're back there waiting for something, right? Like someone like me is trying to blow me up.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's why I say you gotta trust the guys to at least block a little bit so that you can just get the ball and go from there.
Yeah. Can you just take us through the mood of the locker room after a win? I mean, do you feel like a weight has been lifted after 5 weeks of you guys are something is wrong, what's wrong, tell us more about what's wrong? Like, that's what we were basically asking for the last month. Now that you have a win, does it feel different, or inside the locker room?
How much was that needed?
Yeah, how much was that needed?
Definitely, you can tell after we won, the last game, the mood in the locker room was way different. Everybody was excited. We had lost 5 games before that, so just winning, just lifted everybody a little bit, just to, that they know what it feels like to win again. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like it's dropped anymore since then. Everybody's still up. I think the confidence is back.
What did one of those losses feel like compared to your freshman year, like that Arizona loss? Because like that was a pretty devastating loss at the time too, because it was early in the season, it was an upset, it was at home. Some people thought it was going to knock you guys out of the playoff. Just what was kind of the locker room difference between that loss and like maybe this season?
Honestly, when we lost the first game when I was here, it didn't really affect me because I was a freshman, I really didn't know. So,
right.
But you can tell in all the older guys how they took it, and they learned from it, wanted better from it, and we did. We won from there, and just losing this year, and we lost the first game, which sucked. Everybody was down, but we felt like it was kind of like the same thing from my freshman year, and then came out the next week, lost again, and it felt bad because we knew, we lost, but it wasn't as bad as we thought. 2 games. Okay, right. We had lost 2 games the year right before that. So I feel like nobody really got down until we lost like the 3rd and 4th game.
Did it kind of start snowballing a little bit? Because I think a lot of people forget that you guys went into Nebraska and basically were a play away from beating a team that's number 7 in the country.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, that like you guys have played at a high level this year. What happened? I mean, obviously you guys have had injuries as well too.
What happened with?
Or just how did it go from almost beating a top 10 team to going from that to like losing 4 in a row after that? Something
I couldn't even tell you. Right. I really don't know.
You'd probably be making a lot of money coaching if you could be able to do that.
That's something that, I'm not sure how much you wanted to expand on it, but I was really surprised how often guys were talking about the locker room culture, like, to us. I'm like, we're clearly the last people usually that people want to, like, air their grievances about. But there was so much talk about entitlement and, like, the uniforms, especially. That's something that fans have latched onto, because when you guys are playing well, they love the uniforms. And when you guys aren't, it's all of a sudden, let's go back to green and yellow, like no new uniforms, no new stuff for the players. It's amazing how things change so quickly. But like, do you think, is like uniform entitlement a real thing? I mean, obviously it's a hook. I'm not going to deny that. But like, do you think the guys are more interested in the flash than the football?
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah.
The uniforms are already picked out, years before.
Right.
So whatever we wore this year was picked out either last year or the year before that.
Right.
So they have really no say in what's being worn that year. They just come here,
But even just getting that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but they. Honestly, me personally, and guys that I know very well, that wasn't a factor in anything. But things could have changed. Some guys that's probably what they want to see. Just see themselves in a uniform. But the way guys come out in practice, it doesn't seem like that at all.
Sure.
So this is something I wanted to ask you because I know you probably know him better than anybody else on the team. I've had questions asked of me on either like a radio interview or like on the comments of our website because everyone's wondering like where's Royce Freeman been this year, and one of the questions that I've gotten is like it looks like Royce doesn't care, and I don't know Royce great, but I know Royce well enough to know that's probably not the issue. But you've lived with him, he's one of your closest friends on the team. Can you speak to Royce's level of how much he cares?
He definitely cares a lot because he's still here. He's still playing. Trying to go in. I think he got a little nicked up in one game, and it just I don't think it's he fully healed or whatever. I don't talk to him about injuries or anything like that, but he's still there practicing every day, and you can tell his energy's high, everything's like that. So I don't think it's not that he doesn't care. I think it's just he's not being used at his full potential, really. But I honestly don't know.
Right.
When he did his Players Tribune story, how much of that was Royce? How much did he write that?
His what?
The story that Royce wrote in the Players Tribune, the Derek Jeter website, early in the season. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was all over social media. It was about kind of how he came from Imperial. I was just wondering if you had kind of talked to him about how much he wrote.
Didn't even know.
It was really well written, so I was just curious if he actually put that thing together.
It might take us out of jobs here.
Yeah, it was like we rarely hear a side of him like that. So I wasn't going to put it past him that he could write it, but I just was curious, like, if he had told you, like,
I didn't even see it,
or if you were the author, the ghost author.
No.
Okay, we can put that to rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys do anything for Halloween?
Was that yesterday?
Yeah. So
no.
Yeah. So there's the answer. All right. You got anything else?
Let's get you out of here. Thanks, man, for showing up again. I think this is a multiple time guest. It's an honor, clearly. So thank you very much, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.